Today we're going to learn how to draw a house in one-point perspective, but this time we're doing something a bit different. We'll actually be placing it right on the horizon line. So with the horizon line here and the vanishing point placed in the center, the cube that represents our house will also be sitting right on the horizon line with the vanishing point in the middle of the page. In this case, we only see one face of that cube, and we won't be seeing any angles from the sides, top, or bottom. Since we only need to draw the front face and don't have to recede lines back to the vanishing point, it's going to be super easy. Actually, drawing a house this way is so straightforward that you don't even need a horizon line, vanishing point, or converging lines to make it look 3D. But for this demo, I'm drawing a hypothetical horizon line in the middle of the page, just so we know that we're putting the house cube right where it should be. Okay, now I'll draw a rectangle here to represent the house. I'm going for more of a rectangle shape than a perfect square. First, I'm drawing two hypothetical lines to mark the outer edges of the house. Then I'll grab my ruler and continue. Now for the roof, we're not just extending this rectangle straight up the page. Instead, we're going to draw it more like a triangle, since roofs are usually triangular in shape. I'm starting by sketching the border. This shows where the roof will be and where it will begin. After defining this border, I'm drawing a slightly overhanging edge, extending it just a bit outside the main rectangle. Okay, now I'm deciding how tall the roof will be, and I think somewhere around here looks good. Now you need to draw two curved lines to connect the main body of the house to the top of the roof. After that, you'll need to erase the section of the horizon line that's hidden behind the house. Finally, it's a good idea to darken some of your main lines using your ruler to make them stand out. Now let's add a triangular detail to the section of the house. Draw a slanted line here, and then keeping the same angle and length, draw a similar line on the opposite side to form a triangle. Also extend the sides of the triangle out to the outer edge of the main rectangle. Next, draw a parallel line for each side of these two lines forming the triangle, creating a border or edge for your roof. This will give your house a more dynamic and three-dimensional look. Otherwise, it might look a bit like a flat cardboard cutout. If needed, draw a light line to help align the two sides of the triangle. I'm going to erase a small section of the main house here so that it doesn't intersect or overlap with this triangular shape on the roof. Right where I marked, I'm going to draw a vertical line extending it down to the end of this rectangle. Now I can extend the edge of the roof comfortably until it reaches this vertical line. Okay, now that we're done with the general shape of the building, let's add some details to make it look more like a finished house design. I'm drawing two lines here to create separate sections. These act as borders near the bottom of the house. I'm going to fill these horizontal sections with a stone pattern. This adds some nice detail and enhances the overall design. Next, let's draw a small window here. But don't just leave it as a plain rectangle. Add some details and edges to create a frame for your window. Now I'm going to draw another window over here. I'll start with a rectangle and then work on the edges to create a frame for this new window. Next, I'd like to draw something like a canopy or awning for this window. So I'm drawing a small triangular shape on top of the window to make it look like a little canopy. Now it's time to add even more details. I'm dividing the windows into three sections as if there are three separated panes of glass. I'm also adding some horizontal lines as a pattern to give this canopy some visual interest. I'm doing this simply by using hatching techniques. I'm drawing my last window right here in this part of the house. It's an area that feels a bit empty, so a window will help fill it in. This one will be more of a horizontal window, so I'm just going to draw a horizontal rectangle and then add a frame to it for detail. Now all that's left to draw is a door for this house. The only empty space I have that makes sense for the door is right here. So I'll need to erase some of these stone patterns and draw a vertical rectangle for the doorway. And of course, the next step is to add the frame and details to my door. I could also add a canopy above it to create harmony with the triangular shapes of the house and a canopy of the window next to it. But actually, I'm changing my mind. Instead of a canopy, I'm going to extend the door and draw a larger rectangle. This size makes more sense for my door based on the proportions of the house. If I had more space, I might keep the canopy, but I think I prefer to erase it now. Now I'm going to add some lines on the roof to give it a texture, creating a simple wood pattern by drawing horizontal lines. After drawing these lines, I'll adjust them and refine them, using my measuring tool to create cleaner, finer lines. Of course, I'm not going to leave these horizontal lines plain. I'll draw a parallel line next to each one, which will make them look more like a realistic wood pattern. So this was part one. Stay tuned for part two. See you soon!